This episode is brought to you by the 2025 Benchmark Security Awards. Join leading cybersecurity experts on Thursday, 6th of November at Daltone House Hyde Park in Sydney, where industry leaders will be awarded for their excellence in driving Australia's cyber resilience. Purchase your ticket by heading to itnews.com.au and register your interest today.
Hello and welcome to the IT News Podcast. I'm your host, Kate Webber, Section Editor at Digital Nation. Today we'll hear from Adam Wrightson, Chief Technology Officer at Hoyts. Here he walks us through the cinema operator's target of building out further personalization and self-service capabilities as part of its in-app experience under its digital transformation.
Hoyts is continually on a digital journey when it comes to what we've been doing over probably the past decade. We're one of Australia's most well-known brands. People love the movies. Most people go to the movies. So there's probably not too many people who aren't familiar with the Hoyts brand. And our goal over the last decade and more recently is how do we delight our customer? How do we improve those digital journeys, those customer touch points that are so important to our business? What we see today is that 3/4 of the transactions for people buying movie tickets now happen through self-service channels. The primary one being our website. And of those who transact through the website, 80% are doing so through a mobile device. Our digital strategy and mobile-first approach is absolutely critical to those user journeys. At the end of 2024, Hoyts launched its own native apps. We did have an app previously, but we were white labeling an application through our main ERP service provider. But we found that didn't give us the customization, the flexibility we ultimately wanted. With this being such an important communication and sales channel for the business, we wanted to have control of that. And so we launched our own app, and then we see that now representing north of 60% of all of those transactions. To complement that, Hoyts also have more than 300 self-service kiosks in the foyers of our cinemas that also facilitate another 10% of those transactions. So that's how I get to the 75% of people transacting through a self-service channel rather than going to a point of sale where we've got people working behind the candy bar or the box office.
So it sounds like part of this digital transformation undertaking and what prompted Hoyts to go about it, was it partially following customer shifts? They're just really doing that self-serve. They're really heading towards that digital first approach to how they want to buy their movie tickets?
Oh, absolutely. Everything that we do is being driven by the customer and what customer expectations are. I think we now live in a world where the customer expects to be able to do things quickly and seamlessly. And I think Hoyts have been an innovator in this space for quite some time. One of the things that we introduced many years ago was that order and collect type of mentality in our cinemas where rather than when you get to the front of the queue, you place an order and then you wait for the people to fulfill that order. What we did very early on to make that part of the customer journey more seamless originally was to have order and collect. So that removes some friction from that whole process. We've taken that even further more recently by moving those things online so you can purchase your food and beverage and your tickets online. You don't need to actually queue at all. And then when you arrive at the cinema, you can still have, for example, your concession order filled, and then your number will similarly pop up on the screen and you simply collect your order and then go through to your movie. Absolutely everything that we've done and continue to do has been around how can we streamline that customer experience, make it easier, faster, more relevant and more convenient for the customer. So that's our goal. We've been working with a digital agency now for several years. We've found that right synergy between insourcing and outsourcing with this particular provider. Our agency is called Chook Digital. Lots of experience in that whole media entertainment landscape, which is why we chose to partner with them. If I look at the journey, we've had several versions of our website over the last 5 or 6 years. We're probably now on to iteration number 3. With every single new version of the website, we look to how can we not only improve the customer journey, but also looking at the underlying technology and how we can get greater performance, greater reliability. And so with the new version of our website, which we launched in 2023, everything is built on microservices, going to Kubernetes and that whole whole microservices model unlocked so many advantages for us as both an organisation and as a technology department. We've seen significant improvements in both performance and reliability since making that shift. And of course, it's easier to maintain. So we're driving not only a better performing digital experience for our customers, but we're also streamlining those processes from a development perspective internally as well. We made the decision that if we wanted to drive competitive advantage and drive a number of innovations, that we needed to develop our own app. And so we went about doing that again with the same digital agency who assisted us with our website. We launched that and we did so without any business interruption. It was probably one of our best digital deployments that we've ever done. And what we built into that was starting to unlock, for example, the ability to use things like push notifications, and greater personalization is what was driving that whole transition to having our own app, so that we've got a platform in which we can then start to do things that are going to be competitively advantageous to Hoyts. And the only way to do that was to have control of the platform ourselves. The journey continues to evolve around, first and foremost, mobile first, but obviously a lot's changed in the security landscape too in the last few years. And so that's also been top of mind around how do we host it? What security processes do we put in place in order to protect our customers through those digital journeys as well? So far, been very well received by our customers, and also for me, extremely proud of the team and our partners who were able to do such a large piece of work and do that without impacting our customers was very good.
Were there any other tech partners that you worked with for the underlying technology of this, or was it Hoyt's project all built in-house?
It was pretty much all built in-house. We are using some of Chook Digital's. They look after our CMS and some of those things. Everything is built on the Microsoft Azure stack. We are working with a new hosting provider called NCS, who are our engineering support, if you like, for our hosting environments for our digital properties, because obviously they're so important to our business that uptime and reliability, all those things are important to us. Cloudflare represents a very important component of our architecture from a security perspective, overlying the Microsoft Azure platform, which runs all of the containerized code for both the website and for the app.
As this was predominantly built in-house, did your IT teams have to upskill in any way to drive this technology, to build this new app?
I give credit to my general manager of business systems. He had the vision about what we wanted the underlying architecture to be like, and then it wasn't a significant leap for our developers who do all of the back-end integration. Then we use Chook Digital for a lot of the front end. So we found the right balance of working internal and external, with drawing on core competencies from both our internal team, who obviously have expert knowledge of our own systems and our own integration points to integrate into our ticketing systems and financial systems, all those sorts of things. And then combining that with experts in UX design and front-end development through our agency, I think is really what has led to the success we've seen in that whole thing. But the entire architecture, from the language that we were going to build it in, which was using Kubernetes, for example, to do the microservices, through to the integration on the hosting platforms and so on, was all designed internally by our chief architect and, as I said, my head of business systems, who effectively fulfills the role of chief technology officer within the business as far as his skill sets are concerned. And so I think having that right balance of expertise in-house and then outsourcing the right components is what's really led to the success of our digital journey so far. And it doesn't stop there. We're going to be launching the ability for customers, for example, to order food and beverage from their seats and have them either delivered to the auditorium door if they're in mainstream cinema, or to their seats if they're in one of our premium luxe cinemas. So we're continuing now to leverage that platform to drive more convenience and capabilities for our customers in cinema.
Which leads me to my next question, actually. What results or reactions you've seen from the customers from all this new enablement?
Yeah, look, I think for me, the biggest indicator of customer satisfaction is in those app ratings and also in the number of tickets that are logged through our customer service center. And certainly with the volume of tickets we do, where there's always going to be a percentage of tickets that come through, a lot of them, though, are usually on operational issues of how can I get a refund or how can I do something, how can I maybe change my session or do something along those lines, even though we have self-service capabilities built into those platforms. But I think the ratings in the App Store continue to remain high. Customer sentiment and feedback for those who choose to provide written feedback have almost all largely been very positive. And then from a staff perspective, similarly, they're seeing customers being satisfied with the user journeys that we've created on these new digital platforms. And so that for me is what I would use to measure success of what we're doing.
And finally, I did just want to quickly touch on in the time we have left. I do have to ask this question. It's almost impossible, but with all the emerging technology, generative AI, all the new capabilities people are expecting as well, what's the next steps in the Hoyts digital transformation journey?
There's not a day goes by, particularly in the last 18 months, where generative AI hasn't been the talking point. And it's what are you doing to bring that into your strategy, into your digital journeys, those sorts of things. Certainly for us, the next steps are about greater personalization. I think what customers want and expect now is that the content that they're being served, the offers that they're being served, needs to be personalized to their preferences. And so we're going to be spending a reasonable amount of time of our focus over the coming months on how we achieve that greater personalization. And I think that will then lead into a number of initiatives that we're looking at to help streamline the customer journey even further. So that could be providing greater guidance within our apps, within our digital journeys around the different stages of one's visit to the cinema, because there's multiple stages to that. There's the how do I get there and where should I park, right through to at the end of the movie, how do we remind you of the movie trailers that you've seen or give you an opportunity to purchase for your next visit or for the next upcoming movie that might be interested to you. So there's a number of things that we're working on that journey to add greater personalization and enhance the customer journey even further. So that's what's in store. Our goal is to delight our customers, and that's what we think about as we continue our digital journey, which we don't expect to end. It just keeps evolving.
That was Adam Wrightson, Chief Technology Officer at Hoyts, chatting to IT News. That's all we have time for this episode, but please let us know what you think by reviewing the IT News podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast from.